how to be happy alone. You ever just sit there, phone silent, nobody calling, nobody texting, and wonder if anyone out there actually gives a damn? That gut punch silence when you realize it's just you, no backup, no cheers, no support system clapping for your grind. That's when the truth hits. Most people only come around when you're winning. When you've got nothing, you'll learn fast who's real. And that's when you must learn the most powerful lesson in life: how to be happy alone. Not just okay, not just surviving, genuinely happy. Because if you can master the battlefield of solitude, you become unstoppable. Everyone wants the love, the attention, the validation, but few have the courage to go into the silence, into the dark, and come out forged in fire. Your power is built when no one is watching. Your peace is earned when the world goes quiet. You want freedom? Detach from needing anyone. You want strength? Learn to be complete on your own. There's no greater flex than smiling with zero audience. Because happiness isn't found in others. It's created in the conversations you have with yourself when no one's around. Be alone, be whole, be dangerous. They told you loneliness was dangerous, that being alone meant being broken, unlovable, or incomplete. They lied. Loneliness is not the enemy. It's a mirror. Solitude isn't a punishment. It's your power zone. Most people run from being alone because they're scared of what they'll find in the silence. They surround themselves with noise, with distractions, with people who don't even matter just to avoid hearing their own thoughts. But the truth is, that noise is killing their strength. In the silence, you meet yourself. And that's where real transformation begins. You want to become something powerful? You want to build discipline, confidence, clarity? Then sit alone. Turn off the world. Strip it all back. No scrolling, no validation, no fake friends hyping you up with empty words. Just you. In that space, you'll meet the voice that's been buried under years of self-doubt and outside influence. And it will be raw, honest, uncomfortable. But that's where the real power is. That voice, your voice, has been waiting for you to stop numbing it, waiting for you to listen. Solitude sharpens you. It removes the weakness that comfort keeps alive. When you're alone, there's no one to save you, no one to blame. You face the truth. You see what you've become and what you're not. And that discomfort, that's where most people quit. That's why they never grow. But if you push through that discomfort, if you choose to stay in that solitude and face the storm, something amazing happens. You begin to evolve. You start to build a bond with yourself that no one can break. You stop needing people to approve of your moves. You stop begging for love you should be giving to yourself. You become your own backbone. People will call you distant. They'll say you've changed. Good. You're not here to please the weak. You're here to rise, to build. And you can't build something indestructible when you're always dependent on others to hold you together. Solitude teaches you to self-generate energy. It teaches you to validate your own path. And most importantly, it makes your next move more dangerous because it's built in silence, not for show. Learn to love that silence, that stillness, because in it there are no lies. There's no pretending. It's where your mind sharpens, your spirit strengthens, and your vision clears. You'll start seeing who's real and who just filled the empty space. You'll stop tolerating low vibration relationships. You'll stop chasing, stop explaining yourself. And when you do speak, it will come from a place of certainty, not desperation. This is the reason the greats spend time alone. It's not loneliness. They're in training. They're not isolating, they're ascending. They know that silence is sacred, that in solitude every weakness screams louder, every fear shows its face, but they face it. They don't run, they burn the weakness out of themselves, they sharpen their minds until their presence alone shifts a room. You can't do that if you're always needing noise. You can't become powerful if you're addicted to people. Let them leave. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt your silence. While they chase the crowd, you build in the shadows. And when it's time to return, you won't come back the same. You'll come back with a fire that doesn't burn out just because people stop clapping. The strongest people you'll ever meet didn't find happiness in the crowd. They found it in their own soul. They stopped begging for connection and started building themselves into someone worth connecting with. They learned how to be their own army, their own therapist, their own coach. That's real power. That's real peace. So next time you feel alone, don't panic. Embrace it. Train in it. Grow in it. Because solitude isn't a curse. It's a weapon. And when you master it, no one can take your happiness, your direction, or your strength. Loneliness is a lie. The silence is where legends are born. Self-respect isn't something you find in compliments. It's not built through validation, applause, or being liked by the world. It's forged in silence, where no one's watching, where no one's clapping, and where no one's there to pick you up when you fall. Isolation reveals what you're truly made of, and that's why it's feared. Most people run from being alone because they don't want to face the reality of who they are without someone else propping them up. But that's exactly why isolation is where self-respect is born. Because when you stop needing others to keep you standing, you finally learn to walk on your own 2 feet. That's when your backbone starts to grow. That's when the games stop and the power begins. When you can be alone and not just survive, but thrive, you become dangerous. You become unbreakable. Because the second you detach your worth from others, you take away their power. They can't control you with silence anymore. They can't manipulate you with guilt, with threats, with affection. They use like weapons. You're free. And freedom, real freedom, begins with self-respect. When you can look in the mirror with no mask, no audience, and say, I'm enough, that's when you stop settling. That's when you stop entertaining people who drain your spirit and challenge your value. You'll see it clear as day. Who's in your life because they love you, and who's there because they benefit from your weakness. Most people don't even know who they are without someone to chase. They define themselves through relationships, through being needed, through drama and attention. They call that love, but it's not. It's dependency. It's slavery in disguise. Real love doesn't chain you. Real strength doesn't ask you to shrink. And when you find yourself alone, really alone, you begin to strip all of that fake skin off. You start seeing the wounds you were hiding behind the smiles, the pain you never healed because you were too distracted. But that's where it changes. That's where the rebuild begins. Respect is earned by facing the parts of you you've been running from. You want to be proud of yourself? Stop running. Sit in the discomfort. Heal, grow, set boundaries, and don't apologize for them. Stop letting people use your loyalty against you. Stop lowering your standards so you don't end up alone. Because what you tolerate in silence becomes your identity. And if you tolerate disrespect long enough, you forget what you're worth. That's why isolation is necessary. It resets your soul. It reminds you of your worth. It teaches you how to say no and mean it. It teaches you that peace is worth more than attention and that your energy is sacred, not a charity. When you become the kind of person who doesn't need others to feel whole, you become immune to manipulation. You stop reacting to emotional games. You stop bending when people test your boundaries because you know what you bring to the table. And if someone can't see it, you're not afraid to let them leave. That's not ego. That's self-respect. And that's what makes you rare. Most people are so desperate to be loved that they abandon themselves to keep others around. But when you love yourself deeply, you refuse to lose yourself again. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't fold. So isolate, not to punish yourself, but to empower yourself. Use that silence to build, to learn, to reflect, to become. Let people fall away if they must. If your silence scares them, it means your presence was just filling their emptiness. You were never the problem. They were just afraid of facing themselves. But you're not afraid anymore, because in that silence, you found your worth. You rebuilt your soul. And now, no one can take that from you. Self-respect is not given. It's created through sacrifice, through discipline, through walking away from anything and anyone that makes you question your value. Thrive alone, and you'll never fear abandonment again, because you know who you are. You've stood in the fire alone and survived. And once you've done that, no manipulation, no guilt trip, no emotional tactic can ever touch you again. That's freedom. That's power. That's the unshakable strength that only isolation can give. The real you doesn't come alive when people are watching. It's not born in the spotlight, not shaped by the applause or the praise or the likes. It's forged in the dark. In the moments when there's no one clapping, no one cheering, no one telling you to keep going. That's where your character is formed. When everything is quiet and no one gives a damn whether you win or lose, that's when your real strength is built. And that's what most people never understand. They chase applause like oxygen, addicted to the sound of validation. But applause fades. People forget. The crowd moves on. And if your identity is tied to their noise, you'll crumble when the silence comes. That's why the happiest, strongest, most grounded people are the ones who found their peace in solitude. Happiness alone isn't just peace, it's power. It's unshakable freedom. When you can be alone and feel whole, when you can sit with your thoughts and not feel like something's missing, that's when you're untouchable, because you're no longer controlled by external forces. You don't need to be seen to feel valuable. You don't need to be understood to feel valid. You become your own source.